Welcome to another episode of Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. I am Benjamin, and today's video is on compass roses and how they appear on banknotes. I'm presently a librarian in the public school system of Oklahoma City, and prior to that, I was a social studies teacher in the middle school system of Oklahoma City. And one of the things I've always loved about social studies is things in the world and their place in this world. And one of the things I love the most about my time as a social studies teacher was maps. I love maps as a valid way to convey information, much like a book is a valid way to pass on information. But what I loved about maps is one of the neatest things that helped me find my bearing was to discover the oftentimes simple, but just as often complex compass roses that made it more relative to where I was at in my place in this world. So today I have a short video family of themed notes that all show some sort of compass rose. And I like compass rose as a name because I like roses as a flower. But I also like some of the other names for these directional tools that can be found on maps. I like the name of wind rose. I like the name of the rose of the winds because you see the directions and you see the ways the winds can blow. And I also enjoy the name compass star. All of those are things that compass roses get called. It is a device used to show the winds, the cardinal directions, and otherwise. And it can be found everywhere and is on almost every map of the world. So let's get started. The first note I'm going to share with you that has a compass rose on it is this 20 escudos of Portugal. And you can see part of the compass rose appearing right here, but you also see it behind a sextant and a very popular pilot by the name of Coutinho. You see him on some of the colonial banknotes that come out of Africa. Mozambique, I think, had a note with him on it as well. But let's see what the back of this fantastic note looks like. A seaplane. And a number of compass roses, guys. We have a lovely one right over here, and we have a lovely one right over here, and it makes sense because here's a map of some landforms. This compass rose isn't labeled, but you have north, east, south, and west, and I guess this is as funny a time as any. Do you guys remember any of the goofy little rhymes you remembered to remember the directions on a compass rose? Like, where I grew up in Oklahoma, we always said, never eat soggy waffles. And then there was always, never eat sour watermelon. So, that helped you remember going clockwise and starting at the top and the quadrants of directions there. Now, I also play a lot of mahjong, and I play 17-tile Taiwan style for those of you who are interested. But in some of the American forms of the mahjong game, there's a hand called news, and it would be N-E-W-S, and they would call it news to show the four directions of the winds in the mahjong tiles that can be used to make a hand in the American game. You cannot use a hand of NEWS in the Asian game because it would all have to be of one direction or another. But that's not really the focus of this video. Let's see some other compass roses. We're going to move to France, but there's a big aspect of Africa in this particular issue of France. This is a 50 franc, and you can see the famous author over here and some of his creations here, and the airplane that I guess he crashed in Africa in over here. And over here we have a map of Europe, and we have a map of Africa, and I believe this might be some of the flight paths of this gentleman right here. Not seeing the compass rose just yet, and that's because it's on this side of the note. Here we have the North African landscape, the pilot in his plane, and a really nice picture of a compass rose, which on some other notes you might have seen the sun here, but I like the neat way they use the compass rose as part of the design on this 50 franc. Moving on to a 10,000 franc of the Equatorial Guinea, and we know that because of this F here, but on a banknote of West African states. Or East African, I'm not good with my French. Banque de l'Afrique Central. So, I'm sorry, Central African States. So, here on this side, we have a lovely 10,000 franc note. And on this side, we have a plane. We have a train. And while we don't have an automobile, we do have some satellite receiving equipment. But over here, we have a nice little compass rose in front of this train. And I don't know about y'all, but when I see this train, I'm not thinking modernization. I'm thinking right out of the 50s. And I can already almost feel some of the naga hide upholstery that might be inside of the train. But I already feel comfortable with the mint green, sky blue colors of this train. Lovely note. This could be a beautiful note in several videos. We're going to go to the former Portuguese colony of St. Thomas and Prince, and we're going to take a look at this. I believe it's 100,000 dobras. And the dobra, and this particular dobra, show a lovely parrot, a poet, and then right here we have a compass rose in lovely color. And if you look at this one, this compass rose is actually labeled north, east, south, west, and then we have the mid directions too, the cardinal directions, and then the in-betweens. We have northwest, northeast, southeast, and southwest. Very nice note. And I'm wondering, based on the coloring, if it's not an offset register. Well, y'all saw it here first or second. It's not an offset register, and there's absolutely nothing that would indicate a compass rose on the side of the note. Let's move on to a lovely award-winning note of Bermuda. And I just saw that the King Charles III version of this note has been released, and so I'm looking forward to getting another note with King Charles's image right here. And you know, they're slowly but surely rolling out the new banknotes with him on it. This is actually a $2, and it is a hybrid. This is actually a polymer embedded in sheets of paper. And I'm sitting here looking, and I'm like, what on earth is this note doing in a compass rose video? So let's put it upright and let's see what I can find out. I thought maybe the compass rose would be on this clear see-through portion of the note, but it doesn't seem to be. So I'm sitting here looking, not seeing compass rosin. So let's turn this over and see if we can see it on this side. And we do. Sorry about this. I'm just really messing up. I honestly love these vertical notes, but they stress the heck out of me sometimes too. If you look here, there is a port. There is a tower. There is King Neptune with his trident. There are butterflies. And if you look right here, a lovely compass rose. Lovely note, huh? Lovely. No wonder that was an award-winning note. We're going to stay in this region of the world and look at a Bahama note. This is actually a commemorative note. Commemorates the quincentennial of the discovery of Christopher Columbus of the New World. And yes, other people had discovered the New World, but it stayed discovered by the Western world after Columbus found it. And so we have the logo of the first landfall of 1492. We have some sand dollars here. We have an imagined portrait of Christopher Columbus, because nobody knows what he looks like. And the latest dish on Christopher Columbus is that he was Jewish, as if that somehow makes him somebody to dislike more. I just really hate the anti-Semitism of the day. But let's move on and let's look at the lovely compass rose that appears behind his head. Lovely, lovely compass rose. Let's see what's on the back of this note. And up there by the flamingos, we have an additional compass rose. We have the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. We have the islands of the Bahamas. We have parrots. We have lizards. This banknote ticks a lot of thematic boxes. I have another note. We're going to South America for this one, and this is Pedro Cabral. And this is a rare polymer from Brazil. I think it was just one of one, or I know they've been finding some polymer test printings of some of the other notes, but I know this was an official issue by Pedro Cabral. And so kind of Portuguese-y again, isn't it? Over here we have a lovely compass rose. And I wonder if I shine a laser through that, if I could find anything. I need to pull out my laser and see if I can. This came out in two varieties. There's a Pedro A. Cabral, and then there's a variety that has Pedro, and I think instead of A, it has Alvarez Cabral, or whatever that A is supposed to stand for. But here on this side of the note, we have the compass rose from this side, and we have lots of scenes of the racial groups that formed the unified Brazil of today. And I absolutely love notes that do this. And most of the time when you see a banknote that has a lot of minority groups all together in one note, there's somewhere a little dog. At least there has been on some of the other mass groupings of humanity banknotes that I've found. Haven't looked too closely on that. I am going to end this video up with a single entry from another continent. In this case, the continent is Australia. And I always like this note for several reasons. We have a doctor, we have an airplane, we have a mounted camel from a camel corps. We have, I guess, medical equipment here, a medical chart. And here in the see-through portion of this polymer note, we have a compass rose serving in what would be the closest we could get to a watermark on a plastic banknote. So it's still here, and it's very nice. And it looks to me like our offset register might be a form of a compass rose as well. Here on this side we have shapes and heroes, and then we have the compass rose that can be seen from the other side of the note. Compass roses, they are a thing. They are a beautiful thing, and they are collectible. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and feel free to cuss and discuss with me, but ultimately add to the list of knowledge. I would love it if my YouTube channel became a reference source for the world of people who collect and want to know more about their banknotes. I am Benjamin. This is Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. Have a jewel of a day.